Okay. I'll tell you, when I arrived in New York City, I took a bus from Aberdeen, Washington on the Pacific coast where I lived, and I went all the way to New York and stayed in the YMCA, which was a bad idea, and I didn't know better. I mean, you know, they were tricking me, actually. And but it was a very, very deeply freeing experience to be there, and I felt it instantly. And probably part of that was I had cousins who lived out on Long Island. They asked me to come out, and they were very suburban. And I think that I needed to have more time as a, you know, a person thinking about choreography and the future, and I wasn't thinking about visual art then, but I did think about visual art. Look, how are you going to have your best friend is named Bob Rauschenberg? You're going to walk in and say, Bob, I've got a new drawing I want to show you. I never did. And so yeah.
How did you actually meet Bob Rauschenberg? Was it in New York?
Yeah, yes. I was a work-study student at the Cunningham Studios, and this guy used to call up, and he's Bob Rauschenberg is a very good speaker, a very good thinker, and a very good painter, a very good everything I know, and he used to just regale me with great stories, and I was shy at that time. I was young, I was 18 or 19, and I was very shy, and but he couldn't see me. I made a dance. I named a dance that later.
Mm-hmm.
No connection. And I remember getting up off my chair and walking into the studio where all the Cunningham dancers were working on choreographies. And I said, "Who is this guy, Bob Rauschenberg?" Because I didn't know who he was. And Carolyn Brown said to me, "He's the top. We think he's the top artist in America." And so that's how I met him. I don't remember. I asked, "Is he showing?" Because I wanted to see what that meant if someone was said that they were an artist. What would I see if I got there? When I got there, was it the New Museum? No, it was at the Jewish Museum, and that was a legendary show. And he had all those beautiful pieces, eagles coming forward out of the frame, and you know, you walk in and they're just striking, all those pieces, and the use of color, the use of the trajectory of elements in the paintings were just fabulous, you know. I remember stepping back and saying to myself, now I understand why someone would be a painter instead of a dancer, because they did fit into my world of three-dimensionality and suggestion of flight. Or there it is again.
But it's mentioned all over again. You talked about it too, that you wanted to fly. That this was like one reason to dance, perhaps.
Yes.
Wanting to fly. When did you become aware of this longing to fly?
Oh, well, I was kept out of schools when I was young from illness, and so I had a little band of children that were very much like me, 5, and I could have been 6 then, I don't know, maybe they were like a year behind me, and we used to play out of doors. When you say the out of doors of the state of Washington, it's a profoundly beautiful experience. It was. I did used to say that the Olympic National Forest was my first art lesson. I would sit down, there'd be a little creek going by, and I would. If you look long enough, it all comes alive because there are layers of insects and tadpoles and flowers growing in water going by you, And that actually, I really learned how to look then. I didn't have names for anything, but
Did you draw already at that time? Did you? No, just watching.
no, I had an outdoors childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So, should we answer the question about
Flying.
flying?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone's waiting. I can't do it right now, though. We'll have to do it another time. Yes, flying. I climbed trees. I love trees. We had, well, the state of Washington is filled with magnificent, very tall trees. See? No. So I was the oldest. I was maybe 5.5, and I would make. They would be looking at me. What will we do? And I decided to be the person who was strong enough to be able to tell, to lead the band. And so we went over behind Peter Murchison's house, and there was cedar trees that went up 3 stories, if I compared them to the house that was over there. And we climbed up to the top of that tree. We used to take our lunches up there, because the ivy that grows out and keeps overlapping itself built a very safe net for all of us. There weren't a lot of us. I would say there were no more than 3 in a escapade. But, and then when I think back on it, I don't know why no parents came around, but they probably didn't think to look up that high. But we would jump from the highest place we could get to, which was stable, right down into the net of ivy growing around. That was an amazing thing.
But afterwards, you did a lot of Alexander technique, and you studied with Elaine Summers, and all. This was all this kind of new techniques to understand your body through inner imaging. Isn't that also where you arrived at actually flying instead of just diving into the ivy? Because there is these stories of people who tell that you do a task like anybody else, and then suddenly you seem to fly on the broom and things like that. Isn't that because the imagination is working so hard that you could do it actually?
Well, in the case of flying like a broomstick, that was task dance is like found art that I was very aware of. Anna Halpern, who lived in Marin County in California, had a beautiful studio made out of redwood out in the open, and we were often out. That's where we often worked. There was another small house about the size of the small garage, where we could go if it rained. But let's see, center me on the question, the exact question.
The broom and the imagination helping you to actually fly, because there are stories about you, people seeing you fly and being completely thunderstruck by the effect. So
I can't do it anymore, and I tried to do it I tried to do it soon after I gained this huge reputation. And it's really hard to do. But all I did was a basic improvisation. My rules I gave to myself in several studios, first on Anna Halpern's dance deck, and she